not freezing in here. It's not freezing. Yeah.
Really? I think it's kind of cold in here.
Is it cold in here? You want a piece of clothing from me?
Let's just say I put on a tallis for religious reasons and practical reasons.
I'm wearing 17 layers. You can have some.
Yeah.
Oh, don't worry. He doesn't, I will.
It's a choose your own adventure. You can pick whatever page you'd like. It's really...
And if we're singing, you'll sometimes see me go, means page 2. Means 22.
Actually, in a traditional shul, there will often be someone whose job, sometimes it's like a 14-year-old, and there'll be a sign with the page number on it, and they'll sit there and they'll...
Higher than
yeah.
5. What did you say?
Just telling stories about you.
Liar, liar, pants up. Michael, do you need me to do anything? Woo.
Hey, Michael. That one works. Good Shabbos, everyone.
Shabbos.
Thank you. Thank you. It's good to be home. Though it was good to be in Costa Rica, too. It's good to be Shabbos, actually. I don't know about anyone else. The world felt weighty to me this week. The news felt weighty. Family felt weighty. Health felt weighty. The world just felt weighty. to be Shabbos. A day when we take the schmutz and we just put it down. We stop seeing ourselves as needing to control. Stop seeing ourselves as needing to master. Stop seeing ourselves as needing to change. And for one day, for 25 hours, we just are. There were a number of years in our family where we kept a very traditional Shabbos. We hardly used electricity at all. The only place we would drive to would be to shul. We always lit the candles just before sunset. We don't keep Shabbos like that much anymore. But that lighting candles before sunset, it was such a reminder. Such a reminder of the forces and the cycles of the world, of the universe, of the solar system, of our planets, that are so much bigger than us. Just giving ourselves over for a moment. So I invite everyone to take that moment, to let go, to bask in our almost full moon. Meteor shower, okay. And to turn to those around you, to say good Shabbos. Introduce yourself if you don't know the people in front of you, the people behind you. Neon, can we put you on the spot? Will you come light our candles for us? You can bring your mom if you want. But you can make her sit there if you want too. It's, you know. So we light these candles. In our house, when we light them, everyone goes around and shares a piece of light from the week, a good moment from the week, something we're going to hold on to. Hold on to that light. It doesn't matter which of the many lighting instruments you pick up, they're all difficult. Exactly how many taking the light, taking these candles.
Onu
page 8. We welcome Shabbos like a bride. That's what the mystics say. We think of this as a wedding, as a moment of change, a moment when we take a multiplicity and turn it into a oneness. Not the oneness that erases our differences, but a oneness that harmonizes. Ya la 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 lecha todi, ya la 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 likraskala, ya la 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 pnei Shabbat, pnei Shabbat nika Kabbalat Shmo v'zachor b'dibur echad Hishmiyanu elam yuchad Adonai echad Ushmo echad L'shemo tiferet v'litchila Yairei ya la 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 lecha dodi Ya la 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 likraskala Ya la 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 pnei Shabbat pnei Shabbat nikabela Shmo v'zachor b'dibur echad Hishmiyanu elam yuchad Adonai echad Ushmo echad L'shemo tiferet v'litchila Yairei ya la 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 lecha dodi Yairei ya la 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 likraskala Yairei ya la 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 pnei Shabbat pnei Shabbat nikabela Top of page 9 Likra Shabbat Lechu v'nelcha Ki hi makor habrecha Mirosh mikedem nesucha Sof maaseh b'machshma tchila Yairei ya la 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 lecha dodi Yairei ya la 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 likraskala Yairei ya la 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 pnei Shabbat pnei Shabbat nikabela התעוררי כי בעורך קומי אורי שדברי כבוד אדוני לך נגלה Ya la 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 la, lecha dodi, ya turn towards the entrance. Welcome Shabbos. Boi v'shalom, ateret bala, gam b'simcha u'tzola, toch emuneh am segula, boi chala. Shabbat, B'nei Shabbat, Kabbalat, ya la 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 la, lecha dodi, ya ire ire, ya la 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 la, likras kala, ya ire ire, ya la 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 la, B'nei Shabbat, B'nei Shabbat, If you're standing, I invite you to remain standing. We turn to page 11.
I do.
We call each other to prayer. We call our world to prayer. Try to pull down the world that is waiting on high. It's what the ancient rabbis taught. We live in a world that is broken, and yet the world as it could be is just waiting there for us. That's what I keep thinking as we look at the news. Look at our world. How much of this is a choice? How much of this is a choice? Which means we can choose differently. We can create differently. We can make differently. Et Adonai Hamevorach Baruch Adonai Hamevorach Leolam Vaed Baruch Adonai Hamevorach Leolam Vaed Yedei You may be seated. Google had a big announcement this week. Did anyone follow this story? They have a working quantum computer. 105 cubits.
105 cubits.
It calculated something in 5 minutes. That it's estimated that our greatest supercomputers would take septillion years, 5 septillion years, I think, longer than the universe has existed. But tucked away at the end, tucked away in just a sentence at the end, was a note that said, the speed of this computation suggested that this was happening in multiple universes at once. The speed of this computation suggested that there is not just a universe, but a multiverse, where all the possibilities are happening, where all the choices are happening all at once. Tucked in at the end of a sentence, at the end of a paragraph, that we live in a multiverse. That as big as our universe is, as expansive as it is, as tiny as the earth is, even the entirety of it all is tiny as compared to the multiplicity. This is Ma'ariv Aravim, our blessing before Shema, our blessing of awe, of smallness, of looking up at the stars, realizing how tiny we are, and somehow being able to breathe just a little bit easier. To let go of all the things that feel so important and are actually so small, and all the things that are so important and are still so small. Page 12. Together. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher bidvaro ma'ariv aravim, b'chochma poteach sha'arim, uvidvuna meshanei itim, umachalif et hazmanim, umsader et hakochavim, b'mishmerotehem berakia kirtzono, boreyom v'layla, golel or mibnei choshech, v'choshech mibnei or, umavir yom umevi layla, umavdil ben yom uvein layla, Adonai tzavaot shemo, el chai v'kayam tamid imloch, aleinu le'olam va'ed. Baruch atah Adonai Hamari Aravim. Baruch atah Adonai Hamari Aravim. Holding our existential smallness, and at the same time holding the idea that we were created for this world. That there is a piece of light, there's a piece of goodness, that there is a mitzvah, there's a spark of holiness, that our souls were made to find, made to lift up. There's a tradition amongst some Hasidim that believes in reincarnation. This idea that every soul was made for a specific act of tikkun, a specific act of repair. And if we live our lives as if the world was created for us, we get sent back again and again and again until we get it that we were made for this world. We were made to find the brokenness. We were made to repair it. So holding our smallness and holding the idea that the whole universe needs us, holding it all together, we cover our eyes. Page 15. As we let it fade into one. Shema Yisrael Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad Shema 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 Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad. Page 16. V'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha b'chol levavcha u'v'chol nafshecha u'v'chol meodecha v'hayu hadvarim ha'ele asher anochi metzavecha hayom al levavecha v'shinantam levanecha v'dibatabam b'shivtecha b'veitecha uvlechtecha v'aderech u'shochbecha uv'kumecha u'ksartam leot al yadecha v'hayu letotafo b'neinecha u'chtavtam al mezuzot beitecha u'visharecha Leman tizkeru v'asitem et kol mitzvotai v'yitem kidoshim le'Elohechem Ahani Adonai Elohechem asher hotzeiti etchem me'eretz Mitzrayim liot lachem le'Elohim Ani Adonai Elohechem Adonai Elohechem Emet. Page 18. We keep singing our freedom song. Has anyone else been unable to stop watching these videos coming out of Syria? I keep watching them, I keep crying. It's amazing. The March of Freedom. And there will be politics. God knows there will always be politics. The future may not be the future we would hope for. The future may not be the pluralistic vision of our dreams. And yet, for this moment, watching folks in the street who believed they would never be free, who believed this tyrant, this Pharaoh would never fall, watching them dance, watching them celebrate, watching them hug and scream with joy. Michamocha is a cycle. It's not an end point. Geulah, redemption in Judaism, isn't ever permanent. Even Mashiach, even Messiah isn't the end of history, isn't the end of days, it's the end of a moment. It's a return of the world to the way it always could have been, always should have been, knowing it won't stay that way, knowing the other side of any political victory is more politics. And yet for this moment we celebrate, for this moment we sing out our freedom song. Yididum yidiyayo yididaydo yididum yidiyayo yididaydo dum yidiyayo yididaydo yididayo yididayo mi chamocha ba'elim Adonai מי כמוך נראה בקודש, נורא תהילות, אוסף לנורא תהילות, אוסף יום תירי yum titty da 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 yiddy dum yiddy yo yay da 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 do yiddy dum yiddy yo yay da 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 do malichutecha ra'u vanecha bokei hayam lifnei Moshe uMiriam ze Eli anu ve'amru Adonai imloch le'olam va'ed yada da da yada yum titty da 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 oh yum titty da 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 yiddy dum yiddy yo yiddy da 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 do yiddy dum yiddy yo yiddy da 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 do ונאמר כי ודע אדוני את יעקב וגאלו מיד חזק ממנו ברוך אתה אדוני גאל ישראל ידה דה דה ידה יום תידי דה 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 yum titty da 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 yiddy dum yiddy yo yay da 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 do yiddy dum yiddy yo yay da 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 do mi chamocha ba'elim Adonai mi kamocha nera bakodesh nora tehilot אוסף לנורא תהילות, אוסף bar mitzvah bucher last week, our bar mitzvah boy. His mom gave him a blessing that I've thought about all week. Were folks here for the bar mitzvah? His mom blessed him with punk hope. Punk hope. Hope punk? Maybe it was hope punk. I'll ask her. No matter what, no matter the world, rebelling with hope, pushing back with hope, rejoicing with hope, insisting on hope. Hope punk. I like this brand. I like this idea. Actually, Neon, I feel like you look like punk hope. Haskivenu, no matter how dark it is, insisting that there is light. There is always hope. Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu leShalom v'hamidenu somreinu lechaim. Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu leShalom v'hamidenu somreinu lechaim. us to lie and rise in peace. Shalom. Allow us to lie and rise in peace. Shalom. Hashkivenu Adonai, Eloheinu leShalom, V'hamidenu Shomreinu lechaim. Hashkivenu Adonai, Eloheinu leShalom, V'hamidenu Shomreinu lechaim. Fros aleinu Sukkot, Sukkot Shlomecha, ufros aleinu Sukkot Shlomecha, and cover over us tonight with a Sukkot Shalom, a shelter of peace for you, for those you love, a Sukkot Shalom over all creation, over all creation, over all creation. Hashkivenu Adonai, Eloheinu leShalom, V'hamidenu Shomreinu lechaim. Hashkivenu Adonai, Eloheinu leShalom, Hamidenu Shomreinu lechaim. Hamidenu Shomreinu lechaim. Hamidenu Shomreinu lechaim. Turn to page 23 as we take a moment for the prayers of our hearts. Invite everyone to rise as you are able. Adonai, Sifatai Tiftach, Ufi Agid, Tehilatecha. Adonai, Sifatai Tiftach, Ufi Agid, Tehilatecha. Adonai, prepare me to be a sanctuary, pure and holy, tried and true. With thanksgiving, I'll be a living sanctuary for you. Adonai, Sifatai Tiftach, Ufi Agid, Tehilatecha. Continue with the prayers of our hearts, the prayers of the page. The Amidah goes through page 36. You may be seated whenever you are done. Through page 35. Well, good Shabbos, everyone. So just a few words of Torah from our Torah portion. Actually, from our Torah portion, we're going to jump back a week for a second. If you look at the Amidah, if you've got a prayer book and want to look at it, on page 24. Page 24? Yes, page 24. So when we redid the prayer book in 2019, we made a change that you will find in almost no other sidurs, almost anywhere you go. We added in the names of Bilhah and Zilpah. Do you see that? That sort of little addition there. In fact, we have a asterisk right there marking it because it is so unusual. So in the late 70s, as women started being ordained, as Rabbi Susan was ordained, one of the first 50 women to be ordained as a rabbi in the Reform movement, there was a revolution in the Siddur around feminism. And so one of the first places we saw this in the liturgy was that the traditional Amidah, Elohei Avraham, Elohei Yitzchak, Elohei Yaakov, the God of all of these ancestors, of all of these male ancestors, we added in this line. It was so controversial at the time. Oh my God. It was still controversial 20 years ago in some places. We added in Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Leah, Elohei Rachel. We added in the imahot. We added in the mothers. By the way, this is controversial too. Do you put Leah first or do you put Rachel first? And you'll find it in both places. And in fact, CRC's version is the opposite of what the newest Reform Siddur does, and maybe the opposite of what the newest conservative Siddur does as well. And so universally, wherever I go, I'm just confused as to what order it is in. Right? Do you put Leah first because she was married first? Do you put Rachel first because she was the beloved? Leah gets short shrift. Oh my God, you feel so bad for her when you study the Torah. But when you look at this story, when you look at our ancestors, actually the majority of the tribes, the majority of the children of Jacob don't come from Leah or Rachel. They come from Bilhah and Zilpah. Yes, there you go. Bilhah and Zilpah, are folks familiar with who they are? Does anyone know? They're the handmaids. This is a term that felt so, innocuous for a very long time, and then we got the Handmaid's Tale. And I think the Handmaid's Tale actually exemplified, unfortunately, the reality of what a handmaid is. The real difference with Bilhah and Zilpah, what made them handmaids, what made them not wives, was class. Was how much money their parents had. If they weren't wealthy enough to afford a full dowry, to have a full ketubah, then you wouldn't be married off as a woman. You would become a handmaid. It was a class distinction. And yet it was a class distinction that we continued even through the 70s, 80s, 90s, and beyond, where in almost every siddur that you find egalitarian feminist siddurs, you will find Sarah, Rivka, Rachel, Leah, and that's where the Amidah stops. There's this idea which has gotten a bad rap, I think, in Jewish circles in particular, but also has been radically misunderstood, of intersectionality. Folks have heard this term before, right? Now, part of the problem is that intersectionality is used as a term often in a way that has very little to do with the actual idea itself. But the idea, I believe Kimberly Crenshaw, Dr. Crenshaw was the originator of this idea. The idea is essentially this, that when you stack up different identities on top of each other, particularly identities that have experienced systemic oppression, that there is something new, there is something different in that experience that is not the case for them separate from each other. I'm going to use her classic example. She is a black woman, and she described how you cannot describe her experience by looking at a black man and a white woman and combining them. That being a black woman is something distinctive and different. It means something different. It is a different way of living in the world. But one of the tools of intersectionality, one of the things that intersectionality gives us is the ability to look and to see that even as Sarah, Rivka, Rachel, and Leah were added into our Amidah in the name of feminism, Bilhah and Zilpah were left out because there's this stacking that happens. There's this stacking of being a part of the wrong caste, of being a part of the wrong class, of not having enough money, and being a woman in an ancient society that meant that even by the time we got to the 70s, they were not included as our ancestors. They were not included as our mothers. The Torah itself is clear with this. We've been studying this on Thursdays at our Torah from Scratch that we do. And you look at it, and when Bilhah and Zilpah give birth, their children are not described as their children. Their children are described as the children of the woman they belong to, the wife they belong to, the person with money and status that they belong to. Even their children aren't described as their own. And so, we added them back in. We claimed them in our Siddur. We raised them up to the place that they always should have been, as our ancestors, as our mothers. And in doing so, hopefully remind ourselves to look at the world just a little bit differently, to remember the ways that the stacking of different identities causes us to not see people sometimes. But that if we can see this, if we can see the complexity, it can change. And we can change. And our world can change. And so they're right here in our Siddur. They're not in our B'nai Mitzvah Siddur yet. We got to fix that. That's not on purpose. Yael, did you hear that? We got to fix that. Yeah. So, we say our Amidah. We claim our ancestors. We claim our mothers. We claim the Imahot. We claim our fathers. We claim the Avot. And we claim Bilhah and Zilpah as a part of it all. Shabbat Shalom. So we take a moment to fill our hearts with prayers for healing. Healing for our world, healing for our society, but healing for those who are sick, healing for those who are ill, healing for those who are suffering. And so if you're thinking of someone right now, if you're thinking of someone in need of just a little bit of shalom, a little bit of shalom, a little bit of wholeness, of peace, to get from this moment to the next, I invite you to share their name. Yeah, Mel. David Phillips. Thanks, Mel. Yeah. Thinking of both of them. Yeah. Thinking of Michael DePlacido, who's getting better. Who's left the ICU today, I believe. Thank God. Neon. Thinking of all of them. Thank you, Neon. Michael, do we have names from the stream? Thinking of my parents. Page 34. Mishaberach lecholim. sheberach imotenu mekor habrecha le'avotenu. Bless those in need of healing with refuah shlema, the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say Amen. For Vicky Freeman and Michael De Placido, for Diane Cardy, who's doing better, and Steve Arnold, for Alan Portman and Chava Sara, for Hannah Roberts and Marilyn Weiss, for Essie Mitchell and Gloria Lash, for Amy Lampert and Betzalel Cohen Afori, for Maya Purnell and Daniel Tzvi Benfega Toiba, for Elan Nissenboim, Curtis Behrens and Hank Weber, for Adam Young and Anna Navarro, for Yitzchak Ben Mordechai Lev, and Colony Chapel, Maggie Bradford and Jordan Cronemer, for Drew Patchen, Robert Shepard, and Meredith Berkowitz. We say, Baruch Atah Adonai, Rofeh HaCholim. Blessed is the source of goodness that calls us to the sacred work of healing. And we say, Amen. Invite everyone to rise as you are able, page 38, as we begin to end our service with the words of Aleinu. Aleinu l'shabeach l'Adon hakol, l'atei kedula liotzer breshit, shelo asanu kigoye haratzot, velo samanu kimishpachot hadama, shelo sam chelkenu kahem, v'gor aleinu kechohamonam, v'anachnu korim, umishtachavim umodim, lifnei melech malchei hamlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Shehu noteh shamayim veyoser haaretz, u'moshav yikaron b'shamayim ima'ah, u'shchinatu zo b'govei meromim, Hu Eloheinu eino remem malkeinu efes ulato, kakatu betorato, v'yadata yom ve'ashevota el levavecha, ki Adonai hu Elohim b'shamayim ima'ah, v'yala aretz mitachat einon, v'nema v'haya Adonai l'melech al kol haaretz, bayom ahu yeh Adonai echad, u'shemo echad. If you're standing, you may be seated as we take a moment for Kaddish Yatom, for a mourner's Kaddish. As we take a moment to acknowledge those in our community who are in mourning, who walk this path of grief. If you're saying Kaddish right now, I invite you to put up a hand or rise or some other way that we can acknowledge you and hear the names. Yeah, Al. For your mom, for Molly, of a blessed, blessed memory. Ugh. Blessed memory. Yeah. Oh my God, it's been a year. It's been a year. Zichronah lebracha. Let's see.
For my friend David's uncle, Leonard Cox, and for Walter Lassenby, who was Paul Oakley's partner. Yeah, sorry guys, yeah. Come to me afterwards, I'll tell you the story. All right?
For Carl and Sue, who, if you look just the right way, you can still see him sitting right there. A blessed memory. Michael, do we have names from the stream?
Yes, we're remembering Yaakov ben Netanel Rothschild, and I'm remembering my grandmother, Susan Koppelman.
Thank you. For the art sites we have this week, for Eugene Kornblatt, Florence Cohen, for John Dorling and Ralph Gerstenfeld, for Clarice Liniev and Miriam Weintraub, for Ben Goldman and Helen Neff, and Irv Friedman and Jerry Tuck, for Joey Berman and Oliver Schweitzer, for Sarah Goodike and Susan Zimmerman, for Carol Liebsen, for your grandma, for your mom, for Flora Silverstein and Jean Gockman, Rabbi Susan's grandma, for Audrey Weissman and Howard Hartman, for Josh Sugarman and Dick Schwartz, Gussie Parmet and Lisa Friedman, for Louis Greenberg and Louis Lax and Natalie Simmons, for Richard Priest and Samuel Zoll, for Claude Lewis and Gertrude Gorin, for Jewel Kurland and Lawrence Larson, for Mary Hyman and Nancy Lampert, and for those we've lost this year, for Vivian Eveloff and Emmanuel Binder, who is the brother of James, who is so often here, keeping us safe and keeping us company, for Sam Fox and Molly Portman, for Gerald Siegel, and for Sammy Schaas, for Susan Koppelman and Carl, for Carl Smith, for Bette Miller and Morris Tamsky, for Marilyn Schreier and Ron Kramer, for Dr. Eduardo Slatopolsky and Gary Sewell and Ann Lee Frank, for Rhonda Banford and Ralph Wafer, for Marilyn Fox and Eileen Ehrlich, for Myra Levine and Gina Rotman, for Yakir Hexter and Sherry Fox and Miriam Weintraub, for all of these names, for all of these lives, for all of these people who changed our world and changed us. Page 41, invite everyone to rise as you are able as we say these ancient words. Yitkadal v'yitkadash shemei rabbah, be'alma divra chirute v'yamlich malchute, b'chayechon uvyomechon, uvchaye dechol beit Yisrael, b'agala uvizman kariv v'imru, amen. Yehi shmei rabbah mivorach le'olam l'omei almaya, yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh, v'yitadar v'yitalev v'yitalal, shmei t'kudashah barichu, le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata, tushbechata v'nechamata, da'miran be'alma v'imru, amen. Yehi shlama rabba min shemaya, v'chaim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael, v'imru, amen. Oseh shalom b'mromav, hu ya'aseh shalom, aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael, ve'al kol yoshvei tevel, v'imru, amen. Oseh shalom b'mromav, hu יעשה שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל ועל כל יושבי תבל ואמרו Zichronam Livracha, may the memories of all of those that we miss, all of those that we mourn, be a blessing in our lives. And we say, Amen. If you're standing, you may be seated. So we take just a moment for a few announcements. Maybe. The first announcement is that we will now have a bulletin board as you enter the sanctuary with the announcements. Thank you, Yael. So are you just going to tell us to read? Yeah, exactly. Go do your homework. It's for those who don't know Yael, by the way, in the back waving, they are the amazing admin rabbinic. You're like the boss of the rabbis at this point, I think. But they're incredible. I mean, really just incredible. So thank you for making that happen and for making so much happen. Here's just a general announcement that a lot of folks don't know. Ever since HIPAA, hospitals will not call us and tell us when someone is in the hospital. So we're asking, we're sort of begging you to tell on your friends. If you know someone who is in the hospital who could use a visit, we want to make sure that we are there for them. We want to make sure that they are not alone. So please call us, email Yael, call, so that we know that they are there, so that we can show up. Because showing up is so important, particularly in those moments. Even if the hospital tells you they're going to call, they almost never call anymore. They just don't do it anymore. So please. Hybrid Torah study is at 9 a.m. as always tomorrow. There is the 7th annual winter clothing drive that CRC will be collecting for. We're looking for winter clothes and shoes. We'll be collecting it until the end of February, so please bring those items and drop them off. There's sort of blue totes out there that you can see to put them in. If you have a little one in your life, 6 months to 4 years or so, tomorrow is Rainbow, which is just a great, noisy, fun, sensory Jewish Shabbat morning for little ones and their adults. So if you're here tomorrow morning, you will certainly hear them in here. No closed door or garage door can keep out that wonderful, joyous noise. But please let folks know, and this is open to non-members, members, whomever. Similarly, on Shabbat, we'll be making tea gift bundles for people at Crown Center in Menschmakers, which is our program for little ones and their adults to do good, to do social action together. Coming up soon, December 27th, is our rebranded Third Night, Third Light. First Night, First Light, we're seeing people are giving us the thumbs down. I think that was Michael giving us the thumb down in the booth. First Night is Christmas Eve this year, and we thought that it might make more sense to be together on the third night then. So come join us. Ignore the first announcement, which said don't bring your Chanukiah, don't bring your menorah, and bring your menorah, bring your candles. We are going to light them all, and we'll have, fire extinguishers at the ready should they be needed. So come and join us. There will be a dairy potluck dinner following services. We'll have latkes for folks, as well as sufganiyot, jelly donuts. So join us for that. Coming up at the end of January is our second annual CRC intergenerational retreat. This is so much fun. Was anyone here? I don't think we have anyone here who was there last year. It is wonderful. If you can get away, it's just one night. We go out to Camp Wyman. It's really wonderful, and it's truly intergenerational. We had parents there with their little kids. We had adults with no children who were there. We had grandparents who didn't know any. Everyone is welcome. It's a blast. It's not far away. It's just over at Camp Wyman. Sign up and join us for that Shabbat. And then the last announcement is this Wednesday at 5 o'clock is the second in our series of The Real Story of Hanukkah. So this next week, if you join us at 5, we are going to be telling how 3 different groups retold Hanukkah and reclaimed Hanukkah in our modern era. Those 3 groups, just to give it away, are American Jews, Israelis, and Chabad. And they each have very different Hanukkahs. So come and join us Wednesday, 5 o'clock in person. It's really a lot of fun to be together and to learn together. Any crowdsourced announcements? Oh, Moshe House Shabbat dinner tonight. If you'd like to schnorr your way to a free, wonderful Hamish Shabbat dinner, Yael and Michael probably have details. And it's on the board. Great. Look at the board. I am assuming we have an equivalent up on the screen for people, Michael. If not, we'll make that happen soon for those who are streaming. Any last announcements? Let's give each other a blessing. And a big thank you to Leslie, as always.
A big thank you to Dan.
For how many years, Leslie?
39.
39 years. And I think we've been leading services together since 25 years ago?
You were a munchkin.
I think more than 25 years.
Yeah, more
Yeah,
than.
uh-huh.
One of my babies.
Oh. Yivirecha Adonai v'yishmerecha.
May you receive, extend, and witness kindness.
Ya'er Adonai panav elecha v'yikunecha. Neon, you got a blessing for us?
All right.
Or at least 2 of the 3. Yis Adonai panav elecha v'yasem lecha shalom. And most of all, may we have the greatest gift of all, the gift of peace. Shabbat shalom.
I'm not here in the morning.
You're not here tomorrow?
I'm singing the Muppet Christmas movie with the symphony.